Ginger, that tropical South Asian root spice that sends your flavor buds to new heights. It comes in powder, processed, and for you ginger lovers out there, you've likely bought the raw root tubers. Amazingly, these raw tubers can be sprouted, rooted, and grown to make even more ginger root for free right at home. It's tropical, so there are some challenges. However, unless you live in Hawaii or tropical Central South America, it's almost never locally sourced. Until now. Growing your own ginger at home from grocery store tubers can be broken down into 3 parts. Oh, yeah, wait. Before we get going, I know I'll get dozens of messages saying, hey, look, all I do is throw my ginger on the compost or on my front lawn and it sprouts into 20-foot tall monster trees without me having to do anything. Congratulations. You likely live in South California or Florida where that's totally possible. For the rest of us temperate gardeners, we have the 3 parts of growing ginger to guide us. As I was saying, there's 3 different steps to successfully growing your own ginger at home, which I'm going to divide into 2 separate videos. With video number 1, we'll cover the prep, sprouting, and initial start of our bare ginger tubers. We usually start our ginger tubers indoors early as we wait for the air and soil temperatures to warm up outside. So, video number 2 is going to cover both the planting, maintenance, and late summer harvest of that ginger later on this year. You can start your ginger tubers at any time, but just before spring is best. So let's get into it. First, start by selecting the right ginger root. Try to aim for the youngest looking stalk that you can find, and if you do squeeze them in the middle, they should feel quite firm. I should note that I haven't found organic ginger to sprout any different than the ones that aren't labeled organic. So don't stress about that too much. Looking closer at the ginger root, you should be able to see little blunt points right along the edge of the tuber. These points are actually the growing tips for the new ginger plants to sprout from. The more points they have, the better, as it greatly increases your chances of sprouting it. Once you've selected all the ginger that you want to sprout, let's go ahead and soak it in some regular tap water while we prepare the trays. Like a lot of our large seeded plants, ginger actually gets all of its early nutrients internally. These big fat root tubers are going to support the plant initially, so our soil mix needs to reflect this. Knowing this, I use an organic but completely inert medium to sprout these guys, either coconut fiber or peat moss, with my preference, because of the environment, being coconut fiber. I prep the medium by soaking it first, then I'll line a 10-20 nursery tray or similar container with at least a 1-inch base. Because I want to grow many ginger plants, I'll actually pull the big root tubers apart. They quite easily cleave into defined sections, so I'll divide them up so they have 4 or 5 growing points per section. With your ginger root broken into reasonably sized chunks, place them flat, roughly 2 inches or more apart from each other, right on top of that coconut fiber. I try to do them in neat rows so I know where they are, and then I cover them up with about 1 inch of that same medium. I place a covered dome over top to trap in the moisture and to create a mini tropical haven. Speaking of tropical, this part is key. Ginger loves it warm, and it will 100% sprout better for you at a temperature range of 80 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. If you've had trouble sprouting ginger in the past, most likely it was a temperature issue. Once all the ginger is planted, I heat mine from below with a simple low wattage heat mat that's designed for seedlings. Easy stuff. Quickly, within 4 to 5 days, those growing points begin to swell. They will actually begin to break through the hardened outer skin of that tuber, and it's at this time that you can rest easy. You know this is going to work. Usually within 2 weeks, green shoots are going to start to emerge from the substrate. I find that ginger actually tends to send up shoots before roots, but within about 3 weeks, the plants are in full swing with both. After a month, we now have fully formed ginger plants. With those leaves unraveling and now transpiring, likely the containers are going to begin to dry out, especially the little ones like these deli cups. Keep ginger moist, especially at the higher temperatures. It can dry out and perish quite easily. However, with the leaves out and oriented towards the light, the plants are starting to grow and are no longer self-sufficient in terms of nutrients. This is a perfect telltale sign because this is letting us know that it's time to pot them up. And this is also where us growers diverge in terms of climate. If your outside temperatures are greater than 70 degrees, you can go right ahead and plant your ginger outside in your garden or in pots and containers. If you're in a more northern climate like I am, we're going to have to keep these guys inside for a little bit longer. Having said that, no matter where you are, your ginger needs to be moved on at this point. There's nothing left for it in that coconut fiber to sustain the plant. To move these guys on, I use a quality organic potting mix, which you can find at any home improvement store or garden center. Conversely, you can make your own using a blend of that same coconut fiber and some rich organic compost. Ginger isn't too picky about its soil. Just make sure the mix is light, airy, drains well, and is relatively pH neutral. And ginger really does like it moist, more so than a lot of plants. So make sure your mix is really high in organic matter. That's important. There's two ways to pot these guys up. Let me show you both. With the first method, you can fill your pots up part way with that potting mix that we mentioned, suspend the rooted ginger with one hand, and backfill the pot with the other. Pack it down nice and firm, but do be careful not to break any new tips that may be still emerging. Those points on the ginger don't all sprout at the same time. The second way to plant is to pre-fill your pot the whole way with that same potting mix. Soak it for about 2 hours from below, and then make a hole or depression just a little bit bigger than the ginger sprout. Place that sprout in the hole, roots intact, and fill back in to consolidate the planting. I like the second method first because that way I can set up numerous pots and prepare them ahead of time. And not only that, by pre-soaking that soil first, the chances of transplant shock are greatly minimized. Like we mentioned before, if your soil temperatures have reached 70 degrees or higher, you can take these guys right out into the garden. For me, the winter temperatures hang around just a little bit longer, so I need this transition stage of potting these guys up to keep them growing. If you do leave them indoors, give them as much light as possible. Water every other week and keep the temperatures between 70 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit for ideal growth. Your plants might be there already, so I'll mention this now, but when it comes time for video number 2, I'll plant the ginger in a super sunny spot, but sheltered from extreme winds. I'll plant them at roughly the same depth they are now, and I'll mulch with a fine layer of leaves or straw. To hammer down all the points in video number 1, here's a recap of what we've accomplished so far. I hope to see all of you in video number 2, where we take our ginger outside, plant it up, maintain that positive growth trajectory through the summer, and of course, that late summer harvest. Hey, if you have any ginger related questions that you feel we didn't answer here today, make sure to ask it in the comments down below. Also, if any of you are on Facebook, head on over and join our gardening group called Growing Better. The group has grown phenomenally fast, yet it will never lose its sense of community or its welcoming feel. If you're passionate about growing epic organic fruits, herbs, and veggies for you and your family, the Growing Better group is a great place to hang out, share, learn, and grow. Hey, thanks for watching, guys. If you're getting value in this and the other series that I'm doing on YouTube, hit those like, share, and subscribe buttons if you'd be so kind, and I'll see you in the next video.